Welcome everyone to today's webinar. We generally do about 3 webinars a month. The first webinar is the first Wednesday of the month, and that is usually given by our salespeople, and it's an overview of ClubExpress. And it could be an overview that is just a general overview for people that are new to ClubExpress, or it could be a bit of a deep dive into how particular types of verticals use ClubExpress to facilitate their initiatives. For example, it might be about a bicycle club or a chamber of commerce or something along those lines to see how a club might use the various features of ClubExpress to facilitate, say, a rally where you're using emails and custom web pages and discussion forums and all of this all together to facilitate the particular initiative. And the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month, we usually do a deep dive into a particular module. And today is going to be one of those modules. And today we're talking about discussion forums. Now, discussion forums is actually a pretty wide topic because it has a lot of functionality. And I'll talk about sort of the different roles in a few minutes. So I generally do a little introduction like this, and then we go into a demonstration, and then we have questions and answers. But let's take care of a little bit of housekeeping first. The phones are muted. And so if you have questions, please enter them into the chat window. And Michelle and Samantha will do their best to answer those questions in real time. So you don't have to hold your questions to the end. But at the end, we will revisit those questions and see if there's anything that wasn't already answered so that people that are watching a recording of this will have the benefit of knowing what the questions were. And speaking of recordings, recordings are available for all of our webinars and video tutorials by going to the Cool Stuff page on clubexpress.com. Then on the left side, you click on webinars, and then it will show you a list of the upcoming webinar schedule and the recorded webinars. Similarly, above the webinars tab, there's a video tutorials tab where you can see the recent video tutorials. Video tutorials are also available in your control panel if you're a club administrator or coordinator. On the support tab of your control panel, all of the video tutorials are listed. And these tutorials and webinars are hosted on YouTube, so they're easy to find. And if you go to our YouTube channel, and if you just search for ClubExpress, you can find one of our videos. And then if you click on the subscribe button, and in particular, after you click on subscribe, you click on notify, then you'll be notified every time we post a new video, whether it be a webinar or a tutorial. And this way you can keep up to date very easily without wondering if there's something new. And finally, one thing we'd like you to do if you're using ClubExpress, and particularly if ClubExpress is working really well for you, we'd like for you to go to clubexpress.com/reviews and click on one of these review sites and leave a review so other people who are evaluating association management solutions can have the benefit of your experience with ClubExpress. Today, we're talking about discussion forums. Not all organizations and clubs turn on the discussion forum feature, and I think that's something that's very often overlooked because forums allow members to participate in online discussions, and it's usually with other members. This is a way of keeping your members engaged, because one of the things that I talk about with community a lot, and when you have a website, is why should somebody come to your website in the first place, and why should they come back? And having an active discussion forum is one of the best ways of keeping your members engaged. You can ask questions if you have a particular event that you're promoting or that you're wondering about, where should we have our next rally? What time of year would you like something? What kind of equipment do you use? What are the 3 things you know now about whatever your club or organization is about that you wish you knew when you first joined? So engaging with your members, asking questions, letting them ask questions, letting them post reviews and things like that, gives them something to do rather than just coming to your site to say, when is our next meeting? So why should somebody come to your site? Why should they come back? How do you keep your members engaged? So in a discussion forum, people can post what's called threads. And that's sort of a particular discussion. And then threads contain messages. So a forum will have a bunch of threads, and each thread may have one or more messages. And forums can be grouped into categories. And so you can sort of arrange or organize your forums so that it can deal with different purposes. Because you might have some forums that are member-only forums. You may have some forums that are available to only particular committees. And it gets very granular. You can do a lot with it. Forums can also be configured as an email list server, meaning that whenever a discussion is entered into a forum, people that subscribe to that forum via email can be notified via email that there's a new message and here's the message. And they can then go to the forum to reply, or depending on how you've got it configured, they could actually reply or even create forum messages via email. And you also have control over your forum membership. You could have forums that are visible to everybody, or visible only to members, or visible and participate only to people in a particular interest or in a particular committee. I use the word granular a lot, but that's what it is. You can go down to a very fine-grained control. And even within those members, you can say, oh, these are all the members that are in my group, but this one person needs to be moderated, or this one person is banned from this forum because they were abusive or something. So the user interface is pretty flexible. It's got both what's called flat and threaded views. When you're creating messages, you can put little icons on them as to whether it's a question or an announcement, things like that. You can use a different name called a forum handle, which is the name that a user wants to use for a particular forum. Messages can have attachments. Users can have their own avatars, pictures, and messages can contain rich content. And there are many user configurable options. So from an administrator or coordinator point of view, there are many tools that you have for creating and configuring and administering forums at the forum level, thread level, and at the message level. You can have public-facing forums that are just available to everybody, but unless they're a member who's logged in, they are read-only. That's sort of an overview. I'm going to try to demonstrate a couple of different things. We're going to try to demonstrate the three roles: that of a user, who's just your typical member, or even a not logged in user. What do they see when they come to a forum? What is the task of a forum moderator, and what's the task of forum administrators? Moderators are people that you can assign to say, okay, you are allowed to administer this particular forum, but you don't have complete administrator rights for all forums. We'll take a look at the discussion page and look at it as either logged in versus not logged in. And then we'll look at categories, forums themselves, threads, messages. We'll take a look at search and policy. We'll look at forum membership and visibility, what it's like to participate in forums, how users themselves manage their forum profiles as far as the general preferences go, and what forums they're members of, and what threads they have subscribed to. We'll touch on forum administration a little bit, forum moderation with regard to message approvals, and we'll also talk about video tutorials. Let me share my screen with you. I'm going to be popping back and forth between a couple of different browsers, and I'll try to make sure you understand which one I'm looking at. But one of the first things I wanted to show you was if you go to YouTube and search for ClubExpress forums, you will see that there are three different tutorials. The first one is from the user perspective, the other is from the moderator perspective, and the final one is from the administrator perspective. Because your users don't need to know anything about moderation and administration, and if you have turned on your forums, you might want to put a link to, say, this using the forums video on your website so people can see how they can best use the forums and how they can manage their own subscriptions and such. And if you assign somebody as a moderator, by all means have them look at the moderation video. And if you're an administrator, it's worth looking at this one, although it's nearly a half-hour video. It covers a lot that the administrator can do. Let's take a look at the Northwest Balloon Club, which is one of our demo clubs. I'm logged in right now as Martin Smith. Martin Smith is an administrator of the club. So an administrator can do everything. A coordinator is someone who can do everything within particular modules. So you can make somebody a coordinator of the forms module, and they would be able to do everything that Martin Smith could be able to do within the forms module. Moderators are a little different. Moderators have administrative rights over particular forums, but they can't create new forums and things like that. I put the forums on the members menu. So when Martin goes to the forums, it goes to the forum page, and you'll see that there are a whole bunch of forums. And not only is there a list of forum categories, like we have one here called public forums, another one called members only forums. Down here, we have one called special member forums. And we have another one here called admin maintenance. And there's a couple of others. There are also some flags here because I am logged in as an administrator that says I have messages waiting for approval. So if I click on this, you'll see that there are a couple of messages here. And these are here because Manny has made a couple of posts into a forum that has been configured that posts don't just appear. Anybody that posts into the equipment forum has to go through an approval process. So that's where that comes from. Let's look at a couple of items that are on the page at the moment. First is our forum policy. In the control panel, you can declare a forum policy. And it could be something as simple as this one here says, be nice. This is a friendly club forum, so treat others with respect, and all moderator and administrative decisions are final. So this way, if anybody participates, you're telling them you can't argue with the moderators, you can't be obnoxious, let's be nice. This is our policy. Now, some other clubs may have very exhaustive policies about what you're allowed to say, the language you're allowed to use. People have had issues where people were abusing the forums, and they just want to make sure that here is our policy. I've been on other forums where the policies are 3 pages long, for good reason, because of the nature of the forums. If I want to search the forum, if I click on search, I can search, say, for the word basket. And when I click on search, it finds all threads that have basket in the title or in the text. And I can click on any one of them to go to the discussion. Now, worth noting is that if you click on this search option help, this is giving you some information about the kinds of things that you can do. You could be searching for all words, any words, an exact phrase. You could do Boolean search, things like that. You can also select if you want to look at all forums or just within a particular forum. So search is actually pretty useful. Or you could say, I'm looking for somebody, all posts by a particular person, by their handle, by their username, or by a particular member, where you actually go and select the member and it will limit to that member. And of course, you can do a date range or the last week. So it just makes it easy to find the messages you're looking for. If I come over here and I search for the word polymer, so it says, are there any baskets made from high impact polymers? So what's happening here is that here it's showing that it's actually looking into the text of the message and not just the title of the message. I'm going to switch over to another browser. And if I go home here and I'm going to log out, I have temporarily, at least, put forums on the public-facing menu. The reason I did this is that in this case, we want people to be able to see the forums. Maybe it'll entice them to join. So if I click on forums, it says, oh, welcome to the discussion forums. Please log in if you wish to post messages. So this is actually another way of kind of drawing people in and also making sure they log in. But if you look at this forum display, you'll see that it's only displaying this category that we've called public forums. They can't see the other ones, the members only, the special interest forums and such. So this is what they see. And if they look at the equipment forum, they'll see the threads, And if they try to go into a thread, you'll notice there is no reply or anything like that. It's in a read-only mode because they are not yet logged in. So again, people can only see things they're allowed to see. They can only do things they're allowed to do. But they can still search. And if they search for basket, they will get a much shorter list than we had before. Now they only have 10 messages found because it's only searching the forums that they're allowed to see. And if I search for polymer, let's see if anything comes up here. Yeah, they do have the one here. But if it was in something that they weren't allowed to see, it would be empty. So now if the member logs in, and I will log in as M. Diaz, who's just a regular member. Now that the menu choice on the side goes away because he's on the logged in member. So now if I go to forums here, now he can see the public forums, the members only forums, and the special members forums, but he can't see the administrator forums or the temporary forums and things like that, the test forums. Well, when Manny goes into equipment and he wants to participate in this discussion, he can click on what is your basket material? And it says, do you have a choice of basket material color? Did you choose light, dark, bright, or muted? If he wants to reply, he can say, my basket is typical wicker tan, no choices. And when he posts a message here, it's going to say, this message is saved and it's pending review. And the reason for that is that this particular forum is configured that all messages need to be moderated. So if we go to another forum, maybe the restoration forum, and he goes in here and says, I'll reply to this one here. I don't know how to replace envelopes. And he posts that. That message appears immediately because there's no requirement for moderation in this particular forum, restoration forum. When you're a member and you're just trying to enter a post or reply to a post or create a thread, you can just do that. So if it goes into restoration, we can start a new thread. And if we start a new thread, you would give it a name, how to restore rusted metal on frame, and say, any suggestions? And you can have a message icon where you could say, oh, this is a question, and a little question mark will show up, or it could be an announcement or info or an idea, something like that. You can also add an attachment. When you click on attachment, you select the file, and you can have up to 10 attachments. So it might be photographs, it might be some non-executable file. But if I click on post message, now that thread shows up and people can respond to it. So that's the general approach on this. If I log in as a different user, and we'll go to Jenny Cho, and when she goes to the members forum, if she goes to the safety forum, you'll see that she's got a column that we didn't see before called an admin. And that's because she is a coordinator of the forums module. So she'll have admin access, if I recall correctly, on all of the forums. Nope, I guess not. I guess she's just a moderator of that one forum. Because I would look over here under this emergency alerts, she didn't get it. Let's see, was that safety? That was safety forum. Let's go back, look at the equipment forum. Yeah, it looks like she's a moderator of those. Any member will have this forum preferences button here, where you can decide what email address you want for forum notifications, what kind of delivery you want. Do you want them sent as individual email messages? Do you want them as individual messages or as a full digest, kind of a daily digest? What's your handle? What's your signature? Things like that. So there's all sorts of particular forum preferences for this individual forum. And because she's an administrator or coordinator, she can look at the members of this forum, and she can search for all the people that are members. And there are the people called special members versus all members. In this case, these are special members because it's showing people that are either moderators or have opted out specifically of email notifications, or this poor guy, Bill Alexander, everything he posts in this forum is going to be moderated, whereas nobody else is being moderated. And Alex Altman is banned entirely. He cannot post in this forum. And the way you would change any of these things is by clicking on their name and deciding whether or not they're a moderator. Are they active, moderated, or banned? And have they opted out of emails? So I'm kind of blending a little bit of administration with using the forums at this point, but it'll just give you an idea of the tools that are available. Now, if I click on Show All Members, it's going to show a whole lot of people because this thing is open to virtually everybody in the club. So this would be all of the people. And it could be that it's an opt-in forum, and if it was an opt-in forum, it would be just those people that have decided that they want to participate. Let's take a look, as Jenny, at her forum preferences. So if Jenny goes to her profile and scrolls down to the bottom, because we've got forums turned on, there's a section for forum preferences. So any of your members can click on Forum General Preferences, which will talk about, well, how many threads per page do you want to show? Do you prefer them in threaded or flat view? Flat means it just reads like straight text, like a page of text, and threaded is where it's indented and outdented, depending on the hierarchy, who's replying to who. Personally, I never use threaded mode. I'm always in flat mode, and I always start with the oldest message first so I can read down the thread as if it was a document. I don't want to be clicking all over the place to make sense out of the thread. You can have the email address, your primary. So this is all about general preferences. So these will apply to all discussion threads. But it also mentions that some of these can also be set individually on each forum. So this will apply to everything unless you've done an override. So it's got things about the message delivery. Do I want you to send forum messages via email? Things like we saw before. Do we want to have a message signature? Which editor do you want to use? It can be a simple text editor or something with formatting tools. And of course, you've got the identification. You can have a picture that is specific as an avatar just for forum messages. It could be different than your normal member picture. And then if you wanted this to apply to all of my forums, for any one of these things, you can say, check this box to apply the signature to all of my forums, check this box to apply these identification options. So you can decide if you want to update all of your forums, like the picture on each one of them, you could click on that and choose save, and it will just look at all of the forums that you're involved with and make the changes for you. So this is the forum general preferences. If I go back and I go to forum memberships, you will see that I can stop all forum emails, which is very useful if you're going to be away on vacation, so that you're not having your out of office message responding all the time. I'm out. You can stop all forum emails, and then you can turn it back on again. These are called automatic forums because these are, say, you're a member of these forums automatically based on your activity in the club. For example, if you're a member of a committee or you joined an interest group and this is about that committee or interest group, you're automatically enrolled in it. Down here, it said these are other forums that are available to you, but you can join them. So this is a forum that you can opt into. So if I say I want to opt into the buy, sell, or trade forum, and I click on it, Now it says these are the optional forms that you're a member of, and you still have this other one that's available that you're not a member of. And so if I want to take myself out of this is a member opt-in form, I can click on the little icon here, and now I've unjoined it. So this gives you an idea that some of these things are for all club members, or this one here, this is a members only forum called Burning Questions. And it's anybody who says that I am in the Burners interest group is automatically enrolled in that forum. Same thing here. The basket case is for people who's said that they're in the interest group baskets. And so if I come back up to Jenny's profile here, let's just take a look and see if she's in the interest groups for baskets. If we look here, no, she's probably in there because she's a coordinator. But the point is that if anybody had chosen burners and baskets, they would automatically be into that. They'd be a member of that forum. Now, before we go much further, Michelle or Samantha, do we have any questions to this point?
One was a request that'll have to go to our wish list here internally about when you were showing the general form preferences screen and how you can add a picture to be used in your postings. There's been a request to let you select, for example, your directory photo if you choose to use that, or to not have to do yet another upload if you want to use that same picture that you're using in your membership directory.
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
So that, right, because as obviously you do have to do the upload there.
Right.
And also a request along with that to have some display options, I guess, for how it's displayed, or possibly just photo display options as well. So we'll pass that along. Another was about how this differs from a blog where people, for example, how you mentioned how non-members cannot participate in the forum and post, they can only read what you're allowing them to read. And somebody had asked about a blog and how that's different. And I was mentioning how for a blog, it's really the organization's information that they're putting out there and not really a two-way conversation like a discussion forum is. Although with a blog, you can allow non-members to comment on your blog postings. So it's not exactly a back and forth, but it's a limited kind of back and forth.
With a blog is a web log, and it's usually a stream of consciousness of an author or of a division or an organization about a particular topic. So a blog is more like a discussion thread than it is a forum. And yes, you can enable comments on them, but you don't have the same kinds of controls that you have, like for message approval and editing and things like that. It's a little different. There is overlap. I mean, the difference between a blog and a news item, there's overlap and all these things. What other types of questions? And
of note, I would say, it would be great on this particular page to have an option where if a member didn't want their picture here to be shown to non-members, only members, for example, could see your picture, and that was another wish list item to put here, maybe show my picture but only to members, kind of a thing. So again, it looks like looking at the screen brought out a lot of ideas that people have, which is great. That's what we're here for, is to pass these ideas along. So that pretty much sums up what I've seen so far.
All right. So let's go back to discussions. We are logged in as Jenny Cho. Now, Jenny, I think she's a coordinator. In fact, let me jump to the other screen. I'm now logged in as Martin. I've got Chrome and Edge, two different browsers, so they're logged in as two different people. If I go to forums, and if I went to the control panels, communications tab, and chose forums, I could get there, or I could go to forums directly by clicking on edit because I'm an administrator. This is the forms manager screen. And so here you can configure forms in lots of different ways. So for example, we can configure forum categories. So here's that list that you saw: public forums, members only forums, things like that. We have a couple that are inactive, We have a couple that are active. This one called admin maintenance is a really useful thing, because one of the things you can do as a moderator or as a coordinator or administrator is maybe somebody posts a thread that it may be problematic. Maybe it's not problematic. You need to talk about it a little bit amongst yourselves. So I have this category called admin maintenance. Any forum that I put in there, I will likely also flag as only available to admins. So you'll see the particular forum on there where this becomes useful. But you can also add a category, and these are just flags that help organize them on that forum screen. And you can also change the category sequence. So you can say, oh, I want the public forums at the top or whatever, but you could adjust this around like any other display sequence. And this will be the order in which the categories will appear on that forum page. And then within the categories, if I click on this 1, 2, 3 here, this is the forum sequence within the category. So you can go and change this around. So if I wanted equipment to be at the top, I could just change it here. And then when we go there, equipment will be at the top and safety will be second. But I'm going to cancel this. So if I look over here, we can also configure the policy, which I showed you before. This is where you just decide what it's supposed to say. And then you can configure defaults. What should the default be? When I create a new forum, what should its visibility be? Who can post? All the things that you would decide about individual forums and individual forum members, you set them here as defaults so that you don't have to check everything. You can just change the things that need to be changed for the particular forum that you're configuring. I'm not going to add a forum now, but you'll see that it's mostly that same information: the forum title, what category does it go into, what's the membership, all active members, member opt-in, is it moderator defined, meaning only the moderators can add people? Is it for a particular interest, in which case it'll ask you which interest? Is it for a particular committee, maybe your executive board? Or is it for just a particular member type? Maybe you have membership that's got individual members, or maybe you have one that's just for your gold level members or your platinum level members, or only for your trial members. Or it could be for a particular subgroup if your organization uses subgroups. So it might be your Northwest region or something like that. You also have to decide whether this visibility is it public, or is it visible to all club members, or is it visible only to people that are members of this forum? And membership is defined by what we had up here. So then you talk about who can post members, who can edit their messages. So say you type in something and then later on you want to go change it. Are you allowed to do that? Can you post only online or online via email? And then you'd have to set up an email address for your forum, whether or not you allow attachments, all that. So there's a whole lot of things that you can define about any particular new forum. And one of the reasons I'm not going to do it right now is because we can't just go into the forum, because it takes a while. There's a process that runs every once in a while that will then load that new forum with members. And that takes a little while. And so I'd rather show you particular forums. So if we go to the equipment forum here and say it's in the public forums category, it's active, all active members can be in it. And I guess that's the reason why Jenny was included in it. And I can click on the members icon and show, again, all members or the special members. Let's go in. I'm going to go back in as Jenny. So I'm going to switch over to this other one here, going to Jenny Cho. And if I go back into forums here, you'll see that there are messages waiting for approval. And that's because in the equipment forum, about what is your basket material and what is your, I want to upgrade my balloon, there are some messages that have been posted but don't show up yet. And so if I go back to forums, because she is a coordinator of the forums module, she can look at the equipment, at the messages that are waiting for approval. So she can come over here and say, we can approve it, we can block it, or we can go in and edit it. So maybe there was something here that was just a little inappropriate, or somebody spelled something wrong or something like that. You can go in actually and edit the message itself before you approve it or delete it. But if I want, I can approve this message here, and I can approve this message here. It says, has anyone ever transported a balloon in another balloon? And so if I go back to balloon transport, it says, has anyone ever transported a balloon in another balloon? And because Jenny is a coordinator or a moderator, she has these additional options. She can go and edit the message content. She can edit the user status. She can say, I can ban this user here. Or Manny has said, I want to not be notified. Or I can make Manny a moderator. But on any person here, if we look at, say, Benny here, she can say, this person is banned. And so that person will not be able to enter any messages or threads in this forum. And then there are a couple of other tools. For example, we can delete, by clicking on this wrench icon, we can delete a message including all of its replies. We can move a message to another forum, or we can make a message a new thread. So in effect, you're bifurcating. You're saying, okay, I want to take this message here because it's really going off topic. Let's make this a new thread in this forum, and then you can go rename that. But if I have something where I have a thread here, and we look at anemometer for ballooning, I may look at this and say, I want to move the thread to this other one. She can't do it. She can't do the admin maintenance. Administrator, and not just a moderator, administrator could actually say, I want to move this to this other forum that is only available to administrators. So that's one of the things that you can do as an administrator. But as a moderator or as a coordinator, you can change the subject. You can pin the subject, because maybe it's a really important thing. So like right now, we have this one up here called pinned. This is about the equipment forum. So this one will always be at the top of the list, and you can have several of them that always float to the top of the list. So I think that's pretty much what I wanted to show as an overview, looking at it from a couple of different points of view, as someone that's not logged in, as someone who's logged in just as a user, as someone who's logged in as a moderator, and as someone who's logged in as an administrator. Now, we will likely do some drill downs onto this as separate webinars, but I wanted to just give you an overview of sort of the tools that are available and urge you to look at these 3 videos that go into quite a bit of detail on each one of these roles, user, moderator, and administrator, and give you a sense of what's available to you. Because we could also go into things about the user preferences. In fact, let me just go this really quickly. This one was still Jenny, just to show you something we didn't go in before. We showed you the general preferences and the forum membership, but there are also thread subscriptions. So she's not subscribed to any particular thread at the moment, but if she wanted to, she could come over here and say, oh, I like this discussion about rigging. I can subscribe to this thread. Or if I want to this thing about GPS navigation, I want to subscribe to this thread. Now she can go into her profile and go into thread subscriptions, and they show up. And so she could then unsubscribe from them pretty easily. So again, your users have a lot of capabilities and a lot of flexibilities on what they're a member of, what they get notified about, how they interact with it. And they don't have to call you as an administrator to do a lot of the configuration. So I'm going to go back to this one here is Martin Smith, and back to Michelle. I know I've covered a lot of ground at a somewhat high level, dipping into a lot of the details, but what do we have as far as questions?
Okay, here's one that just came in. It is a question about how about covering how you would use the forum as a listserv. And is that covered in any or all of those 3 videos you mentioned earlier, like using as a member, using as an admin?
Yes. Yeah, it is covered in the administration. I think it's also covered a little bit in the user side, because if I go into administration here, and let's look at, say, the equipment forum, and I look at what we have here, it says, okay, what do we do about message delivery? So it says, yes, messages are being sent to forum members as email. And then over here under forum mode, it can either be discussion forum mode, that says emails are sent to the individual member from the forum, or it could be in what's called list server mode, where emails are not sent to the member per se, they're sent to the list, and is from the original message poster. So they're slightly different. There's some overlap. There is a slight difference between discussion forum mode and list server mode, but they can both send emails. And we go into that a little bit more in the video and in your administration guide. Another thing to take a look at is there's always online help available. So if we were to come down here, let's see, posting method, message delivery, forum mode. So we have a little more information about list server mode in here. I don't want to go into the details, but there are different options that get set up. So if I went to list server mode, then there's more decisions to be made. Reply to is either to the forum or to message poster, because you can send private messages. You can send individual messages. When you want to reply to somebody in a forum, you can either say, I want to reply on the forum, or I want to reply by emails to that particular person that made the post. So even within emails, there are options. So yeah, take a look at the administration tutorial and the user tutorial, which will give you a little more information about how to set those things up.
Okay, and then there was another one that just came in about whether you can, how the subscription works. You know, can you subscribe to everything in a forum?
Yeah, what you can do is for any particular forum, and this is what I typically do, I say because the subscription that I showed you before was about a particular thread. But if I go into forum memberships, here is where I can come to any one of the forums I'm interested in and click on edit, and then say, okay, what do I want to do about this forum? Do I want to send forum messages to me? And how frequently do I want it to be? And what do I want it to be? Immediately means just every time there's a message posted, send me an email. Daily Digest says, okay, I want one email once a day where all the messages are put into that digest, or I just want one email that just lists the subjects, and then I'll go into those things manually and take a look at it. So that's the way you would do that. And again, what you can do is in your profile, you can set this for your general preferences here. What do I want to happen for all of, if I wanted to go for all of my forums, you could just make your choices here, click set this box to apply these message delivery to all my forums. And then at the bottom, when you click save, those choices will be applied to all of the forums where you are a member. Michelle?
Okay, that was it. That was the last forums question.
Are there any other questions, or are there any suggestions that Michelle, you or Samantha have about forums, or something that you'd like for me to cover?
While we're on this page where we're talking about the email address, sometimes somebody will wonder why they sent an email to post it to a forum and it never got there. and they don't know what happened to it. And quite often it's really important that maybe somebody doesn't realize that whatever email address they say they're using for forums, it's not only for receiving those emails, it's also that this is the email address you're going to use to send your emails to the forum. So maybe you saying use info@clubexpress.com, but if you're sending an email to the forum using support@clubexpress.com, well, the forum's not going to recognize that email address, so your message won't post. So again, it's really important to know which email you're going to use and stick with it so that it gets delivered.
Yeah, and the reason for this is it keeps somebody from impersonating you. You're saying that this is the email address that if I'm going via email, if I am communicating and replying to messages and things like that, using a different email address, this is the way it's going to know it's me, you see. Otherwise, if you're just creating a message thread, or because someone can create a forum, Martin can create a forum where you can actually create email messages and email threads by defining that in the forum. But the idea is that you can control what kind of activities people can do. If I go back here, by the way, Jenny, and I go into a discussion here, and I go into, say, here, I come in here, and I want to do a reply, you'll notice that I can either reply to the forum, or I can reply privately to this poster, the original poster, via email, and I can also send a CC to somebody else. So you don't even have to reply in a way that shows it on the forum, but I tend not to do private replies, because one of the benefits of listing things in forums is that people that are allowed to then come into the forum later on, maybe a new team member or a new committee member, they will have the benefit of being able to see the discussions, the context of the discussions that were there before they joined the committee or the team or the interest. So it's a really good idea, unless there's some compelling reason not to keep your forum replies on the forum itself. I prefer to keep everything on the forum, so that this way people can see the context of decisions that were made or preferences that people have. Anything else, Michelle?
Just a question about, do members have to subscribe to the forums they're interested in, or are they automatically subscribed to all member forums? And this person may have come in after you started and went through that section.
Right. So the answer is that the membership in the forum depends on how the forum was set up. If the forum was set up so that it says all active members, then it says, well, who can post? All forum members, or here it says membership. All active members. Do members opt in which case there'll be a choice to join the forum? Is it something that the moderator is defining, so that the moderator is saying, I want this person, and that person? Is it members of a particular interest? So you're automatically a member of all forums that it makes sense for you to be in. So if it's for all active members and you're an active member, obviously you are a member of that forum. And if it's only for a particular interest, as soon as you flag that you're a member of that interest group, then you automatically get membership in that forum. But you don't have membership until you're a member. And if it was in this one here, this is for the interest for people that are in the burners group, because this is a hot air balloon club. If we said that this was available only to forum members, you wouldn't even see the forum until you were a member of the burners group. And then not only would you see it, but you'd be a member of it. I hope that answers the question. Oh, there is one other thing to note, and this is just important, and I'm not going to show it, but if you have, and only if you have, forums enabled on your site, you don't have to put it on the menu, but it has to be enabled, and you are an administrator, at the bottom of your list will be this Club Administrators forum. And you can click on this, and this is a forum of people who are administrators of wide range of ClubExpress installations. So if you have questions about how ClubExpress does something, it is a forum for ClubExpress administrators. And so, but it won't show up in your list or on your control panel. I believe if we go into control panel and we go into support, administrator forum shows up here also. And when you click on that, it will take you to the administrator forum where you can see the current discussions that are going on about using ClubExpress. And it's just another way of having support. So thank you all for coming, and hopefully we'll see you at the next webinar.